So for those of you who don't know, I'll fill some of you in on a bit of the background. Aylmer, which is actually not far from where we live, there is a church there with a pastor who's been vehemently anti-lockdown since the pandemic first started, and has been holding like rallies and demonstration. And so, for whatever reason, Aylmer has become one of the uh, premier anti-lockdown locations in Ontario, where a lot of shit goes down. And there was a, it's been happening like every weekend. And so I guess David Menzies went this past weekend, and there was some activists that were protesting the anti-lockdown protest stuff. And so David Menzies does what David Menzies does, and sees a car on the side of the road that looks like it's protesting the anti-lockdown protest, and he decides to harass them. And so we're gonna watch that.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Aylmer, Ontario. Well, folks,
What is this
our
music?
primary
I didn't even hear it. Is that like maybe it's playing in the background?
task in coming to Aylmer is to give an update.
Or is it
It
like
sounds like church organ music, I guess, but like,
so we're gonna in the very last video we're gonna watch tonight, there's gonna be a lot of musical choices that I don't understand. So like I wonder if this like they have a new video editor who's like, you know what'll make our pieces stand out? Music. Or the church
okay.
organ is just so like because I didn't notice this before, so maybe it's just playing from the church.
On the Church of God, and that update is a provincial judge ordered on Friday that the locks be changed on the church
Like Far Cry
for the
5.
church
Look at
alleged.
this is like Far Cry 5 happening here. Anyone who's played Far Cry 5 will remember the opening of that video game. We played it on our stream at one point, where you go into the church
What
and elect
kind?
to arrest the pastor.
What brand of Christian is this?
Church of
Because
God.
like,
Church of God. Go ye into all the sign broken, act the gospel. Church of God.
okay, I'm gonna go on their website, I guess.
Yeah, do it. They
I'm just
seem
like curious because, oh, whoops, I just typed in church God. That's not a website, so if anybody wants to get that for themselves, it is available.
I just wonder how much of this is like actual vandalism against the church for their anti-lockdown stance, or if it's something else. My guess is their frame. The reason why they put this out here is like, look at this church being attacked. Vandals have come and broken their sign.
And that update is a provincial judge ordered on Friday that the locks be changed on the church for the church allegedly violating COVID-19 restrictions. In addition to the lock change, the church was slammed with something like $117,000
Don't you
in
dare
fines.
be promoting Church of God in chat.
Before we even stepped foot on the property, we ran into an absolutely bizarre discussion.
To be like, here at Imperial News Ministries. We should start I'll start a cult. Let's do it. The cult of Imperial News. I do love this person's mask, by the way. We get one of these like what are they? The plague doctors or whatever?
Which almost escalated into an altercation. There were some members of the trans community of Aylmer doing a protest against the church. Usually when you're doing a protest, you want to speak to the media. Didn't go all that well, but more disturbing.
God's not giving us problems right now. You are. Not calling the police on the shirt though. But...
I am so confused by their website. Holy shit.
Church of God's website?
Yeah. They claim to have a prophetic lineage that goes well past Jesus Christ. So I don't know how that works.
No kinkage.
Yeah. Actually, they just straight up don't even include Jesus, I guess.
Weird.
Like it goes, they call John the Baptist John the Forerunner, which is a cool title, I gotta say. And then we get someone named Anna, who I've never heard of. And then we got that classical Peter guy, uh, John, Paul, and then we've got Jan Hus of the Hussites, which was like a early attempt at Protestantism. And they just got like a bunch of random dudes going up to their current like leader,
It
which
was
is very wild to me. They don't. I can't figure out like what kind of
no, I was
Christian
gonna
they
say
are
I
besides
think there's
Protestant.
a Church of God that's near where I live in town as well. Or
Yeah, no, like it's
near-ish.
an international thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, they're what we believe is just a bunch of Bible quotes, so that's helpful.
As you do. As you do.
They have an article called Cults Biblically Defined, which doesn't at all make them sound like they might be a cult.
They always sound kind of culty. The funny thing is, two cars, when you said no kink at church, when I did see this person's mask the first time I watched part of this, I was like, I did have that vibe to it. I was like, oh no, is this I initially thought that David Menzies was gonna get into that stupid kink discourse that was happening. But thankfully, thankfully we are not gonna dwell in that discourse. That discourse has already been beaten to death, and I feel like people have moved on, and that is good for everyone involved. The prophets seem to be just their are to just be their pastors. Yeah, I know nothing about the Church of God. I should.
I'm
I know a
so
lot of
confused
random
about
facts about
who
religion.
they are.
June is bringing it back as the parades start coming. Well, hopefully not. If we have to talk about it, we will, because I will point out that I don't give a shit about kink and pride personally. Kink it up at pride. Have fun. I will still even take my children. We will wave at you while you kink it up.
Disturbingly, was the fact that two Aylmer Police Service constables came up to my cameraman Sid and I and ordered us to stop practicing journalism or we would be charged. I didn't know practicing journalism, unlike North Korea and Iran, was illegal
I
in
know they go
Canada.
to
At
like
least we know
extremes, like
not
every
yet,
fucking
maybe
time.
not until Bill C-10 gets passed, but just check out this unbelievable footage.
You know how, like I told you when we were doing the podcast episode too, like they conflate Bill C-10 with like censorship. All Bill C-10 is, for those who don't know, is was going to try to regulate the internet in terms of like how our TVs are regulated in or broadcasting on radio or television is regulated in Canada through the CRTC. And so the idea is, for those who don't know, in Canada we have it where it's like you have to have a certain amount of Canadian content broadcasted, and the idea there is because we don't want to lose our Canadian culture, right? So for every Billy Joel or trying to think of other American acts, the Beatles. When you're playing your radio station, you have to throw in a Nickelback and an Avril Lavigne, to so that you have some sort of like Canadian content. But for some reason, it is the case that the Liberals do plan to release anti-hate legislation uh, to target online hate content. They do plan on releasing that legislation. It's just not what Bill C-10 is, and yet that is what they constantly keep saying it is. Because of course. I also want to highlight, because I missed this before, it is funny that he refers to these people on the side of the road as Aylmer's trans community or something like this. And I don't even know if these people are from, they could be from everywhere. Like, I don't even know what the population in Aylmer is. It's like, it's got to be like 10,000 max? I don't think it could be more than that. Okay,
Yeah, it's not
yes,
big, I can say that much.
7,492. So I overestimated 10,000.
I
It
mean, you know,
doesn't.
that was 2016. Maybe they're bigger.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that
Um,
they can't have a trans population there. It's just given the proximity to larger cities, these people don't have to be from Aylmer. I guess is what I'm saying. You were going to say something, Mieto?
Church of God claims to be non-denominational, so they're confusing and shitty and annoying.
So is the Imperial News cult. We are a non-denominational cult. We'll accept everyone except
Not
your
even like
fascist.
non-denominational in like a cool way, like the United Church arguably is, where it's like you don't even have to be Christian to show up there. But they're non-denominational, like, oh yeah, we'll choose whatever like shitty things any church says.
I do. I know. South Park has a lot of problems with it, but there was this one. This like goes all the way back to like their first season, and they put on a non-denominational Christmas play, and it gets like the musical score is like by Philip Glass, who's like an abstract composer, and all the kids are dressed in gray and like doing robot stuff because they can't have like any religious connotations in it whatsoever. And that every time I hear non-denominational, that's the first thing my brain goes to.
Community had an episode kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Who's going
And then they
forward
also
in the
had that
future.
whole the Greendale human being.
The what?
The Greendale human being mascot. Like,
I never watched Community. I know. I'm a
okay.
terrible human.
The first few
It sounds
seasons
amazing.
are fun.
About the only thing that I know is like the dark timeline meme that everyone used when Trump got elected. Pretty much all I know.
Yeah. That was also a very fun episode.
You don't want me, but your vehicle's on a public road, sir.
How are you gonna play? Don't call me sir number one.
Oh, you've kind of got a odd mask on. What are you then? A ma'am or?
Wait. For one, so here's what we're gonna pick.
Ma'am or
Yeah. So you can only be a sir or a ma'am according to David Menzies. But
yeah.
the other thing I want to point out here is he's going to get in. I don't want to use the word altercation or confrontation, but he has a discussion with some police officers, and the police officers are going to tell him like, don't be harassing people. And so like throughout this conversation, I want you to like cue on like already you could see there's like a kind of harassing dynamic here that is not strictly a journalistic dynamic. I don't think a real journalist is going to be bickering about what their I don't know what you call the person you're interacting with, your subject of your interview about their pronouns. Like that probably is not good journalistic practice to do that. I would say. It would start to like encroach on maybe a harassment depending on how far you take it, right?
Yeah. Like it's not a hi, would you like to speak to us or anything like that. It's instantly the presumption that they want to speak to you and then also misgendering.
Yeah. And then like but it's also it's because here's the thing is like even within like law of harassment, it's not like strictly harassment to say like accidentally misgender someone, but it's the repeated
Yeah.
harassment of do like once you sort of get the signal that this person identifies this way or doesn't want to be referred to this way, how to go about it. But you can tell even the way that David then throws the question back, it's clearly to antagonize, and now you're already starting to get into the like arena of harassment to a certain degree, so it's not
I just
just
looked at how
like, oh
long
well,
this
what would you
video
like to
was.
identify as, right? It's yeah, there's gonna be chunks where we'll go through because I don't even know how audible this person's gonna be, but like the point being
Yeah.
is like the more appropriate response to this would have just been like, oh sorry, then what do you identify, or how would you like me to or respond to you or refer to you as or whatever. But instead, he's just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
are you a man then?" Which is not a good way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's the other point of view from the red phone. Red phone? Oh yeah,
Red phone, yeah.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah, the other person in the car.
Okay.
She did just tell him to go the fuck away, and is now laying on the horn. So
That's odd. Well, but you're having a counter protest, aren't you?
Speak for me.
We
you
are
trying-
against those that break the law. So go get the fuck away from my truck.
Stay in the truck, stay-
this, I like this person. I would want David Menzies to get the fuck away from my truck as well. I approve.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but we're in a public place.
That's less than 6 feet, so he can get the fuck away.
Actually, it's more than 6 feet. But usually when you have a...
When the people fear the government, that's tyranny, but when the government fears the people, that's freedom?
Sure.
All right. Not quite. I'm not even sure quite what that means. But when the government fears the people, that's freedom. How about we just have people do things and then we're all happy? No hierarchies.
A protest, you're
No
trying
government.
to get a message out.
News, not fake news. So go fuck yourself.
Okay.
Well, you're very profane. That's not very ladylike language.
Lady, I'm
Oh.
a human.
Fuck off.
Yourself.
She said she's not a lady, she's human.
Well, actually,
Well, is that wrong, David? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. Like, they're turning to the camera going, where it's like, now it's like, it's evident to me that you're antagonizing these people. Like, that's clearly, it's now, you're harassing. They've told you repeatedly to go the fuck away in very harsh language. They clearly do not want you around. So you staying around is now, even if it's a public place, you're harassing them. At least
Yeah.
I would say that. Like, it
Oh, for
might,
sure. Like,
it might not win in court for like various reasons or whatever, but like, I don't know, I'm willing to concede that there could be criminal harassment going on here.
and like,
Brian,
it's very obviously antagonizing just by David choosing the language of like, that's not very ladylike. Because one, like, even if that person were a lady, that's so misogynistic to say. Like, that's so shitty.
Yeah.
And then also, when you know that you are like interacting with trans people, then it's like, okay, you're obviously like attempting to misgender at this point as well.
I mean, to a certain extent, we don't know if these people even are trans. Like, all I've gotten so far from this is that they didn't like being called sir at first and like whatnot, and who knows how they identify themselves, you know?
trying to be disrespectful.
No,
Sorry, were you gonna say something?
No.
Man, there was a noise in the video that sounded sounded like an interjection.
you said you're a lady, so now I'm calling you ma'am instead of sir, so I just didn't want to misgender your friend there.
My wife,
That's your wife then, right?
No.
Okay then.
this is unneeded.
Don't you believe in freedom of religion?
Yes, you can
When it's
practice
done
what you
properly,
Okay, how is it done properly?
when you show respect so you don't spread any potential viruses that we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Well, this
Don't
is...
get close to me.
Ma'am, why was it last summer when there was a Black Lives Matter protest
This is
all over the
always
place?
notice as well, like most of the people in this image are all wearing masks.
Yeah.
You know, you got a few that
And
are
there
most
weren't mass outbreaks afterwards.
There was, sorry?
And there weren't mass outbreaks afterwards.
Yes. I mean, this is also when the caseload was very low. You'll notice we had incidences occur since that maybe we could have done things locally, but we chose not to and did other forms of protests, like with the Palestinian event where we did a carpool one.
Yeah.
You know,
That
there's
sucked.
it sucked, but you know, you find a way, given that we concede that this pandemic is a real thing. You know.
greater
I
numbers were congregating
suppose.
outdoors. How was that okay and this isn't?
Well, number one, they were protesting them getting killed by cops. They're protesting nothing except being spoiled children.
Oh, I see. Thank you. So the science has really nothing to do with it. It's about what the protest
I
is.
have a problem with what they're doing right now, and if you can't
No.
see why that is,
I love, like, they don't seem to get that. It's like the reason why. So you have to compare what the two sides are protesting. This side is protesting the fact that, like, oh, I don't like the fact that I have to wear a mask in public, and I don't like the fact that I have to do my religion thing at home. I can't, or I have to do it from my car, and I can't, like, get together and spread disease. Like, that's what they're complaining about. The other side is going, hey, there is a historical, systematic discrimination against a group of people, and maybe we need to do something about it. One of these things is way, I don't know, way more important than the other, regardless of my own affectation of how I feel about these people in this crowd.
then I can't help you.
There
This
has
person is
been
reasonable,
more than
you're right.
100,000 medical studies about COVID-19. Zero have shown any link to outdoor transmissions and gatherings, religious or demonstration gatherings.
You're a small little man that feels real big when he plays fake reporter.
Okay, then. It used to be.
Wait, I feel like they just insulted
I don't
me.
know what that
I
was.
wanted
but-
to. I heard it wants to play big boy as fake reporter, I think is what they said.
COVID-19, zero have shown any link to outdoor transmissions and gatherings, religious or demonstration gatherings.
You're a small little man that feels real big when he plays fake reporter.
So they said you're a small little man who wants to pretend they're very big by playing a fake reporter. I agree with
Also, the black and white Ontario flag is very like
Was that those were
stupid
the
looking.
Church of God people? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then. It used to
That's
be
it,
a man
yeah, I
too,
don't-
right?
Oh wow, wow, that was
fuck off, David.
real classy.
Well,
Eh?
you called me a small little man. I'm just saying, used to be a
So
man
now-
yourself.
Now, just in terms of harassment, again, he's gonna try to deny that this is harassment.
Hmm.
That now like that is definitely 100%. I don't know. I even forgot that line occurred. So yep, David Menzies.
Didn't
Why
you?
are you getting some white crusties in your mouth? Are you getting parched or something? Or is there an issue?
Are you really that terrified?
So now they're just exchanging insults.
I think they're, no offense to David, but I think this person's insults are way better.
So is this what Rebel News is? They're transphobic and they're anti-LGBT. Maybe I should let the community know that that's what.
What did I say that was transphobic or anti-LGBT?
What? What you just said, David.
Misgendering me on purpose, so don't do that. See, no, you're playing a game.
No, I'm not.
I understand the whole wanting to reopen small.
I wonder why they cut away. Unless that really was the end of that thing, but like maybe they said something so hurtful that David David didn't want to cut it in. Now we get some other random person.
Business, and it is hurting the economy. We realize that, but the longer we prolong stuff like this,
Like,
the
I don't
longer
even know
it's
who
gonna
is
go
this
on, and
person.
I don't understand. I'm just saying, if you dig deep enough, you can find anything you want, right? And I feel like that's what's going on here.
So, but your ilk has always said,
It's not
"My
relevant
body,
to
my
you.
choice." But is that only for terminating a pregnancy?
My body, my choice. Really? Well, it's my choice to be able to walk around and not be fearful that someone's going to spread something to me that I'm going to spread on to another family member. We're talking about our own individual bodies here. We're not talking about everyone surrounding us.
Yeah. So
Well,
your choice
yeah,
is
well-
to take away the choice from other.
What was that line too? It's like your ilk. So like feminists or women? Like what is he trying to imply this person is? Your ilk.
People that don't want to get a vax,
Oh my
don't want to
God,
get
they're
a.
not giving anybody else a choice, are they? When they're coming into stores, without their masks on. They're not giving me the choice. So you have to have a caveat. I don't have a problem with people,
Watching this
obviously
footage, it really is
worshiping
kind of
God,
culty,
but I think a lot of this is being twisted around.
Yeah.
You can worship God
They're all
anywhere.
dressed the same too.
You don't have to be in mass all together. I understand people want to be together, and I want to be with people too, but I'm trying to get this over and done with. That's my stand.
But what happened last summer when we saw even greater numbers of people getting together for Black Lives Matter demonstrations, man?
Again, it's like they're only
Why
going
was
to.
there no issue about mass
Yeah.
gatherings then?
When was the Black Lives Matter?
They're wearing masks, you fucking moron.
This person.
You're showing the fucking footage right now. It's right fucking there. They're wearing the fucking mask. That's why no one's fucking harassing them. You goddamn moron. How are you this dumb?
Yeah.
How? You made this
David
video.
Menzies.
You made the fucking video. You're like, oh, but why didn't you say they're black? Because they're wearing the mask, David. You're showing them doing the thing. You
Yep.
fucking numpty.
I don't like this person's response. Not as good as the other person's response.
Did it take place during the
Yeah.
pandemic?
Oh, they were all over the world last summer, and to use your line of thinking, they could stay home and go on social media to weigh in on that demonstration, but it was mass congregations of people.
Certainly. I do agree. I don't think now is the time to be going up in mass.
Okay,
mass
fair enough.
numbers.
Then you're consistent on that one, okay? But your friends here aren't, so. But I appreciate that.
I could give a what religion they practice. I really don't care. It's not like we're trying to get in the way of them worshiping their God. All I want is this to be over. I want to be.
Christians need to copy Muslims where following government orders about pandemic is a serious thing. Yes. I think it's also just like, I don't know. This isn't completely, how do I put this? Not every Christian sect or denomination is behaving the way these specific ones that keep fighting these things are behaving, right? So it's like and we even covered the one dude at Grace Life Church in Alberta. He came out saying that the reason why these other churches aren't doing what they're doing and refusing to socially distance and stuff like this is because they're all fake, like not true religions. We're the true faith, and that's why we believe that we should be able to spread disease to everyone. So it's just like weird cultish churches that believe their own shtick about how they need the freedom to spread a disease. That's all it is. Protestants. it's all the Protestants.
Be able to see my family.
We need Christian WhatsApp aunties to spread a bunch of infographics with Bible quotes, the way that Muslim aunties did with Quran and Hadith regarding like quarantine and the spread of disease and stuff like that. We need to institute that from a governmental level where we are funding these people to forward infographics to one another and then to spread it to everybody else.
Get the Christian aunties to show people the Bible verses that promote abortion.
Exactly.
I still love that most Christians don't even know that there's actual Bible verses that go through direction in how to create an abortifacient. What is the term?
Abortifacient?
Abortifacient. I think that's right. Yes, a thing that you can use to create a miscarriage. There is directions in the Bible of how to create one. But apparently, according to modern day Christians and Catholics, abortion bad. Not all.
Travel to BC and be with my family.
I share your desire on that 100%.
Abortifacient?
That just
Could be
continues
facial.
the problem.
But what is the evidence that you have to show that this is a so-called super spreader event?
Because they're gathered in mass numbers. That's my evidence.
Right,
Look
and
at that.
and are they dropping like flies?
Any doctor in good standing, they would say that is definitely not a good situation.
Well, I told you, Dr. Fulford, McMaster, an expert among experts, but you won't accept her expert opinion on this.
She counted on the new strains that are that are easily transmittable via air.
She
So
was.
you tell me that people that are standing side by side shoulder to shoulder aren't capable of passing anything.
Yeah, that is.
Part of me is like, there's an element to which, like, I don't know for a fact that this is or is not going to be a super spreader event, but like at the same point, it doesn't matter because I don't think that these people are just doing this stuff indoors. They are outdoors because they've been blocked from entering their church. So if they weren't doing it outdoors because they were allowed in their church, they would be doing it indoors, which would be even worse, right? Because we've seen the footage, like they've been doing this stuff indoors. The police had to escort them out, you know.
Yeah. You know, this person just like not.
No, it's. I mean, this is why David is like honed in on them because it's like they're clearly not as informed as that other based person that was insulting.
They're not as informed and also are willing to talk to David.
Yeah.
Which are bad combinations to be.
Yeah.
That is the evidence. It's almost zero for outdoor religious gatherings, outdoor demonstrations.
So they've taken all these outdoor gatherers and tested them?
What she has said, more than 100,000 papers written on COVID-19,
That's
and
incorrect,
not one
actually. I know
has
there are
produced a link
some of these
for
churches are
an
linked to
outdoor
outbreaks,
gathering in a religious or
but specifically
demonstration
indoors,
situation being a super spreader event. And that's
Especially
an
the
expert
ones in
among
Alberta.
experts, ma'am, saying that. So
See all your studies of the coronavirus. I would love to research and date and find where who's
look up Dr. Fulford. Anyways, we'll
know
leave.
who this Dr. Fulford person is.
I've also heard of studies of secondhand smoke, and I really don't want my lungs to suffer from that from this lady's beautiful wife here. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Like even that line there, this lady's beautiful wife, like that, like you're engaging in harassment, David Menzies. I'm sorry, but like this is publicly expressing trans bigotry towards trans or non-binary people.
Yeah.
You too. Have a nice day. Oh, good, sir. How about yourself?
Just mind leaving them alone, okay? They don't want you talking to them, so could you just move on?
Here, why don't we go behind here?
Well, let's go over here.
Well, no, wait a second. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No.
They don't want you to talk to them, okay? So
yeah, they're in a public place, officer. So I will talk to them.
Please move out of the way. I'm losing my
I'm
patience.
moving out of the way right now.
5 times. I'm standing in the roadway. I don't want to get hit by a car. So please move.
Here, come over here, officer. What is the crime I'm committing right now? What is the crime? I'm not obstructing you.
Please move out of the way. Okay?
Such a
I do love as well that I feel like, because like, did he introduce himself as David Menzies, or did this reporter just know that he was David Menzies? Or the police officer? I'm pretty sure the police officer just knew.
Did he say?
Yeah, he referred to him as Mr.
Even
Menzies.
notice that like it was.
I think he said.
Come over here, officer. What is the crime I'm committing right now? What is the crime? I'm not obstructing you.
Please move out of the
Mr.
way.
Menzies,
Okay?
please
I am
move
here
out.
asking.
Order to leave these people alone. You're telling me you're not going to. So if you don't follow my
Someone has had a
directions, get
few
your microphone
run-ins
out of my
with the law.
face.
You came to me, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Asking you to move back out of the way.
Okay, well, as far as I know, the practice of journalism is not illegal yet. So, unless I'm mistaken, you can write me up for a ticket.
Happen, okay, Mr. Menzies? You're going to leave this area.
There
I've
were a
asked
few
you not to
jump
harass
cuts. Yeah,
these
that's
people.
true.
If you come back and you speak with them, you will be arrested for
I am on a public piece of land. You have no right whatsoever to make me leave this area.
I do have a right to allow
Can
you
you
to-
quote me the law, sir?
Okay, yeah, criminal
just said
harassment.
criminal
Okay? They've
harassment.
asked you to not speak with them and not to bother them.
Conducting journalism, sir.
You are arrestable for that.
I am arrested.
Like, what does he think? Does journalism give you, like, because you're a journalist, you now have permission to harass people?
You know what that fucking hat he does. You know he fucking thinks that.
Yeah.
Fucking get up he wears every day.
He is the only Rebel employee as well who has, like, an official journalism degree.
So not to sidetrack the conversation, but I've been going down a little rabbit hole with Martha Fulford over at McMaster.
Yeah, I searched it briefly, but yeah.
Yeah. 18 doctors back in July 2020 asking the government and province premier to rethink restrictions around COVID-19. So even when COVID was murdering people like left, right, and center, not that it wasn't the whole time, she was like, I don't think We shouldn't care about it. It's fine. And I think she also said, like, if people are asymptomatic, why should we care about it? And then what was it, like a month or two later, they came and said, oh, asymptomatic people still have lots of fucking problems, so you definitely don't want to get that shit.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing that's annoying about, like, because what they can do is they can hinge on, like, a single person who does have a medical degree. And it looks like she is an infectious disease, like, that's what her specialty is. But then it's like, of course, you get one person that agrees with you, and then the right wing are just going to use her as a cudgel, even though they could be like the one person with wacky beliefs within that community of experts, you know?
Also, it's McMaster University. You know, it's not like we're dealing with, you know, a better university. No offense to you guys in Canada, but you know.
In support of McMaster's, they have a big health, like they're one of the bigger health universities in Ontario. So in that sense, that might be a leg up, but at the same time, again, she's one person out of many, right?
But yeah, like how many people at McMaster are telling her to shut the fuck up?
Probably a lot. That would be my
exactly.
Because again, it's about consensus, right? Like one person who happens to be an infectious disease expert, but also has a differing opinion, does not mean we dismiss all the other infectious disease experts that say she's full of shit, right? And I have this article I found one article from March 21st where she's telling people to continue to abide by the rules such as distancing and stuff like this. So for what it's worth, she doesn't go so far to say to completely ignore the restrictions.
Arrestable for harassment? Is he not able to answer the questions?
In the course of my duties to inform you that you are not to
We'll check the
harass
comments.
people. That's why I'm here speaking with you.
Okay, then you're going to write me a ticket for
I
harassment.
didn't say that I'm going to write you a ticket. I
Okay,
told
so
you
I'm
to
trying to
move on
figure
and
out
leave
what-
these people alone, or you're going to get arrested for criminal harassment.
And I know you don't believe in freedom of the
Will
press.
you stand there and be quiet?
No, I will not be quiet.
Then you will be arrested if you approach these
Arrested for
Oh my
talking.
Lord.
Is that what we're into now? And asking questions is harassment?
If
they don't want
contact, yes, and absolutely.
Really? Can I see the criminal code violation that spells that out?
You can go read the criminal code yourself.
Okay? So
Yeah,
And-
everyone
and-
has a right not to be
away
harassed.
from me, please get the microphone out of my face, okay?
What is the benchmark of harassment?
Anybody that doesn't want to be harassed, okay? Please move out of the way. I've told you.
I think you're harassing me, officer. Well, there you go, folks. It's kind of like...
I mean, like, what world does he live in? Like, of course, harassment has to be something that somebody feels harassed in order for it to be harassment, right?
He was stalling until he could think of his gotcha of, well, it seems like I'm the one being harassed, and then turning away.
But even then, it's not
Just
even
took him
good.
that long to think of that great line.
I mean, like, even then, like, it's so obviously stupid because it's like, guess what, David? You could just leave. You could just leave. As the one who's engaging in the harassment, no one is following you. You are following other people and not leaving them alone.
He needs that footage. He's getting paid for this. Like,
Yeah. Of course, it's like when we go to look
know?
at the comments, they're going to be like, "Oh, David Menzies, you're so brave. You're fighting to get the story."
I don't know, talking to a Coke machine when you put the loonie in and the soda doesn't come out. They're turning into automated vending machines right now. They won't answer the questions. They came to me.
What?
They're talking about people being harassed. I don't think we were harassing anyone. This is a counter protest. Usually people that are doing a protest or a counter protest want publicity. But evidently asking questions, according to these two fine members of the Aylmer Police Service, that is verboten. Much like it's verboten to have a church open on Sunday, the locks have been changed so the congregation is outdoors. Isn't it
See what I
amazing
mean? So
what has
he even
happened
admits it
to
here.
this country?
They're only
Isn't it
congregating
amazing
outside because they
how
can lock
law
it.
enforcement who once upheld an oath, you know, to protect our rights and freedoms under the Charter, they've now become oath breakers. They are now, what I would say, thugs with badges. That is your Aylmer Police Service in action, folks. It is an absolute disgrace. And of course he's not going to answer my questions because he doesn't have any valid answers. I'd sure love to see the proviso of the criminal code that says a journalist can't ask questions. I know that exists in North Korea.
It's so obvious that it's stupid, but like, of course, there's no stipulation in the criminal code that says a journalist can't ask questions. What it will say is that criminal harassment is when you repeatedly do something like misgendering them and refuse to leave when they ask you to. That's criminal harassment, bud. And even
I
journalists
hate David Menzies so much.
Yeah.
Want him to get COVID so bad.
He probably already has had it.
I know that exists in Iran, but in Aylmer, well, I guess
Iran.
These guys are misplaced officers. They would be cops of the year in those kind of dictatorships, I should think.
The red on the cap, that's pretty fash. What was red on the cap?
I think on the cop.
Like on this person's hat? Like, I guess. I mean, here's the thing that annoys me. There's two elements of this that annoy me about covering Rebel, which is that it hasn't happened lately, thankfully, but they used to say such made up bullshit about Justin Trudeau that I would find myself defending Justin Trudeau for a lot of superficial things that they made up about him. But like, I would have to defend him for those superficial shit. And then here's the case of like, I can't stand the police. I'm a big proponent of defunding and getting rid of the police. And yet it's like things like this where it's like, on a personal level, I feel bad for this dude having to put up with David Menzies' shit, just as I feel bad about everyone else having to put up with his shit, even though I hate police. I still want them to be abolished and defunded, but I feel like no one should have to deal with David Menzies.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.